Welcome to the last Scary Golf Stories episode at What's in My Drawers Golf Talk and at McGolf. We got daylight savings time, so let's get to it. Welcome back to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Jim McCleary here, and this is What's in My Drawers in the Shop. Why? Because old club makers and club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and I'm no different. So we're talking about golf club repairs, golf club reviews, and golf club fittings, all so your scores can go low. All right, if you would, I'm going to remember it this time. If you would, see that stuff across the bottom, what this thing is saying right about there? Yeah. How about you like, subscribe, hit that notification button and all that good stuff so this gets out to the YouTube universe. All right, and I will have some videos posting. We'll talk about that. In the last day or two, I've taken at least 2, possibly 3 videos on golf club assembly, so that should be interesting as well. And my last little note is, again, if you guys would, if you're into the whiskey or golf or both, then join me at Pars and Pours where we do reviews, stuff like this, and very casual. It has the same vibe. So there it is. So, all righty. So here's what we did. So number one, we had a daylight savings time, so we went back, right? And that's the reason why it's dark already, and that makes everything here look really good, but it's dark. Okay, we're getting dark right around about 5:15. It starts getting dusky around 5, maybe 5:15, and now what you see is at 5:30 is what's behind me. Now, if you look at right about there, it's not quite dark, but because we have the overhang, that gives a little bit better vibe. So anyway, we did that one. We survived. It was kind of funny. It was some of the best sleep I got. Normally people, when they do this, they really suffer quite a bit, and not me, man, because Mrs. McGolf kept me busy yesterday and kept me busy in a big way. And so we took a tour down. We did Halloween down in Frankfort, Kentucky at Buffalo Trace. They had a special event, and we decided to go take advantage of it. And we came back that morning and came back and unpacked, took a bit of a rest, and then took off and started to make apple butter at a friend's place about 6-8 miles away from it. Looks a lot like that. And you see the big old kettle and you see the wood and stuff underneath of it. It's just really a big old social gathering. And so we each take turns scraping the bottom of the copper kettle. And then we get together as a group and we start jarring everything. They have somebody that pours it in, somebody that wipes it down, somebody puts a lid on, somebody puts a ring on, somebody makes it tight, and somebody places it. I had the last 2 steps. And we did 180 jars. So not bad, right? Not bad at all. From our little trip, we're able to increase the number of signs that we have on our back porch now. You can see we added the new riff, we added an Eagle Rare, we added a Stag, and just trying to make it a little bit more homey. All righty. And last but not least, 2 things. And as God always tell you what we cooked, I did stumble across another idea that I'm going to do. But again, Robin said, let's do some Philly cheesesteaks. So that's what you see, some Philly cheese, some onion, some of the meat, and some of the buns. And they were really good. So I was happy with that. We also ran into a vendor truck, and I ran across a thing called a pork belly or a pork burnt end, and it's pork belly that's been cooked and turned into a burnt end, and it was good. And what this guy did in a cup, he put mac and cheese, the burnt end, mac and cheese burnt end. He called it a burnt end parfait, and it was really tasty. So we're going to be exploring that option here in the near future. Very good. So also, as far as clubs went this week, I just finished, and I literally just finished filming the installation of grips on a set. And it was a left-hand set of Mizuno 923s, I believe. And they were in the players. They would have been the HM Pros of that variety with a forged behind it in the 4-iron. And we installed some recoils, and he sent some Lamkin / Super Stroke grips. Whoever mentioned it before on here hit it right on the nail. That Lamkin apparently did buy Super Stroke did buy Lamkin, and this grip on the cap says Lamkin 100 midsize on it, and on the top on the label where you would normally see Lamkin, it says Super Stroke, and it is clearly a crossline grip. Feels great, looks good. I like the gray. I like the gray with the black. It looks really, really good. So I hope I hope this means better things for Lamkin going forward, and Super Stroke for that matter. We're starting to see, they do some seasonal releases and things like that, and good on them. But I want to really see, let's give Golf Pride and all the other groups a little bit of competition, more so than in the past. One of the big issues that this build wanted, and I didn't know it until later, but he said he wanted a D1 swing weight. Now, these things show up at D0. Okay. When you go and get them off of the internet and you go, they're D0, D1 altogether. And that's with a standard steel shaft and a standard grip. Again, I was asked to put a recoil 65 in it, which means 65 gram thing. So that means that we're 60 grams less than a standard shaft. 60. So that's somewhere, if you just do easy math, that's 6 swing weight points. And then he puts on a mid-size grip, which added on another, say, 15 to 20. So that's another 4. So we're talking 10 swing weight points. That's 20 grams. And no, this is not going to happen. No, nobody makes that, and that would be ridiculous to try and do it, because it would jack up the dynamic of the golf club. Number one, the center of gravity would move towards the hosel in such a terrific fashion, it wouldn't be funny. And then I would have to trim the shaft so much that it wouldn't make it act like it wants to. However, it's like, oh my God, I can't have my swing weight. Well, here's the thing. You went from a standard shaft, standard grip, standard club, and all of a sudden you lightened everything up, and then you made everything heavy on the back. It's going to be light. It would have been light anyway. Okay. And now that's me on my soapbox. Now, the thing about this is that because the shaft is so light, it transmits feel more readily. So you really don't need D0, D1, or any of that to get that same feel in order to make sure that you get that, that dynamic when you're bringing it back. To the point, you can come off of that five swing weight points easy when it's this misbalanced. So what I did is I put in a 4 gram weight to give it a little bit more head heft, and they came out at C8, which 2 swing weight points from that. Yeah, that's not too bad, right? Not too bad at all. So at 4 gram, you go, well, geez, Jim, if you put in a 6 more grams, that would have been 10. Yeah, and it would have made it feel like a sledgehammer. So I think we're in decent shape with it. We'll find out shortly. Okay, so that's what we got there. So scary stories. Well, I can tell you one of the scary stories was actually me golfing and bad shots. We'll do a bad shots golfing story, and you can tell me yours. In that I've shanked 2 in my life, and one of them actually hit Robin. And that was early on in my golfing career before I was doing any of this. Just totally off the toe, went 90 degrees from me and hit her right in the leg. Another one we were at, and I've told this story before, we were on a hole and there was at least 4 foursomes on the hole, 1 in front, 2 coming down the sides, and us. And I hit one and it didn't slice. It was just a big old push. And I conked somebody in the head. And man, oh man, that's scary, right? Because it can hurt some folks, and we don't want that. More from a fitting perspective, what scares me the most is guys with super flat swings and guys with very vertical swings for two different reasons. One, a guy that comes with a very flat swing tends to reach out and come back around. And I have limited room here. And more than one time has somebody creased the wall. And I'm afraid that, number one, that they're going to put a hole in the wall, but number two, that they're going to break their club. And so they get this flat. And I'm like, where did you come from with that? No, just the way I've always been golfing. I said, well, how about we move it up here? And tends to work a little bit better. The guys with and just the opposite, guys with very vertical swings take this big, gouging, deep, thudding divot. And they because somebody has told them, oh, you got to take a divot. I like to smack that guy. And he takes his divot and literally is pounding down to the bottom of my mat. And my mat is solid on the bottom with the hitting surface. Kang, kang, kang. And what that does is that does break golf clubs. And that's probably the reason why a lot of those guys are in here. Now, from a fitting perspective on that, if you're coming in flat and you're going to need to bend this so this golf club does actually, you're hitting probably in here. So you're going to bend this down so that this goes from here to here on your hitting. Did that just move? I swear. There we go. And on the other one, when you're hitting vertical, you're going to be hitting like this, hitting a lot of shots here. And then what we need to do is we need to bend this up so this comes down. And that tends to help quite a bit. And that straightens out a lot of ills. Okay. So that's the scary one. As far as repairs go, I brought one in. A customer brought one in. It wasn't a Wilson. It was actually a Callaway. And he brought this thing in, and it had the shaft, and it was glued in with JB Weld, and the adapter was glued in because they had snapped the screw. And there was just JB Weld oozing everywhere except for where it needed to be. Once I got the thing apart, which that was a trick in its own self, there was so much junk riding up in here, you would never have been able to put another shaft or adapter back in here. So a lot of work with a Dremel tool and cleaning it out in heat. Come to find out that JB Weld is really susceptible to heat. And you get in here and you clean it out, and that, and a lot of tapping it out and getting it in there and trying not to get any in the head. And then the opposite, it was so jacked up. I just pulled the adapter off and put a new one in, and I was got a new screw and put them together. And that one was scary because I didn't know if it was going to work. Okay, I didn't know if it was going to work. And short of that one, the other one that was the most scary was a club that was older than me, and it was a club that came with a pin, and I hadn't done a pinned golf club in forever. And so you're reinventing the wheel every time you're doing this. Where do you put, in the day you would have a clamp specifically to be able to drive the pin through and still hold it in the vise without marring the club. And so now and we did, if you're doing it once or twice, you can make do. And I haven't done it in probably 8 years, and here it comes back. So now I got to, reawaken some old memories and get it through there. But we figured it out, probably made a new method on putting it back together, and it worked out good. So those are the scary ones. So Bones over here, he's laughing at me the whole way. But he's like, get it done, Jim. Quit being a sissy. All righty. So, Charlie, this is something new. This is Wenzel Whiskey out of Covington, Kentucky. And they're literally a new one, but they have one of their products is at the San Francisco Spirits Competition, and they're one of the 5 finalists for the best bourbon in the world for this year. And they have a blending opportunity. So Robin and I, we both blend our own stuff. And I did a test. We did a blind to see who liked what the best. I ended up liking hers, and she ended up liking mine. So what I did is I combined them together, and we're going to see what happens, and see if it gets better. All righty. So we got through all that. Let's talk to some folks, and we get all the way to the top. And is anyone out there? Look at that. It's probably, it's probably the time change in a lot of cases. 44 in the front, 37 in the back, 44, 38 in the back. Seeing a pattern here. Yeah, normally it's the other way around for you, isn't it, Charlie? You just starting to get warmed up now? And is it so here we're having those 35-degree mornings and 60-degree afternoons. Are you getting that same thing? There's Robin. There's Pinion Golf. What do you say, man? Charlie's starting to get nervous with nobody out there. That's funny. There's Hello Pinion. Wayne, there he is. So not that it was Wayne or anything. I also I was looking at old some questions, and we were talking, and one of my videos was talking about bending a golf club. And a guy said, if I needed to jack the loft of this thing 2 degrees, probably don't need to be playing them because it'll have too much offset. And I'm like, I don't bend offset into that when you jack it, so you don't have to worry about it. And he goes, oh yeah, you do. No, you don't. I don't know where this guy's getting offset at. And somebody's running under an auspice that is not correct. Now, you could literally bend some into it, but it takes two bending bars in order to actually get offset on it. Now, what they might be taking is offset is truly defined as the difference between the leading edge and the leading edge of the hosel. And if I was to make it go back, if I was to jack it to make it softer, you could see where the leading edge might be a little bit more forward than that. But if I go back in the strictest definition of it, it would be there. But in reality, the offset is actually found right here. And so if I'm just bending that back 2 degrees, the answer is no, you're not going to do it. So they can think that all they want, and I can think it all I want, and we can agree to disagree. All righty. Charlie had a job in Killington, Vermont this morning. It was 25 degrees. Man, yeah, that's a little bit too much for me. All right, the title page is showing 8 people waiting. I wonder why. There's Stephen. Yes, ma'am. Shot an 82 Saturday, 39.43. Got rained out. Okay, very cool. We did. I had no golf this weekend. We were busy chasing ghosts down in Kentucky. So that's what that was. Hey, Krister's here from Sweden. And the outdoor season is over. Where I live, silly season has begun. So you moved inside then, huh? I would imagine that the simulator business is a big deal in Sweden. All right, hello. Robin saying hello to Krister. 3 deer are on the range. That's Robin. Robin pays attention to the number of deer that are on the property in the back, and she calls them her kids. I always threaten to get out a few shots on them, but I also get threatened after that. Frost delays both day, didn't tee off till 8:15. Man, I bet you were kind of out of your game if you're normally getting out of there by 6. All right. Hello, your thoughts over the week? Thought you were over the weekend as I was having frost delays. Oh, no doubt. There's Mark. What's my thoughts on that recoil? I like it. Working it over on that iron, they were very, very, very consistent. I will say that, and that's what I'm used to from recoils. Okay. When we first started, when the recoil first came out, we were tour spec dealers, and we were getting tour spec recoils, and they were phenomenal. And they enjoyed a truckload of success. And I think what happened, they let it get to their head because things started getting a little sloppy. And when I couldn't get a hold of anybody to try and arrange, why is this all happening, we just stopped carrying them. and I think they may have saw it too, and they repackaged everything as the recoil dart. And the dart is very, very consistent. It's the quality of what I'm seeing is top notch. And in making those irons, the disparity in the grams from total weight were 1.5 grams, which is outstanding, right? That is just absolutely outstanding. And I frequency matched them by trimming, and every one of them is just absolutely in line. And I only had to actually extra trim 2 irons, and there were ones at the very bottom, and that was probably due to weight. And that came out really, really good. And what I kind of did is I quasi flowed them to get the logos underneath. Some will be here, some will be here, and some will be there. But they all worked out pretty good. And then lastly, I did put in that 4 grammer, and you're in that C8 category, and it does feel pretty decent. And you know what? The funny part was I didn't notice these things were left-handed until I was assembling them. Even after I was drilling them out in the whole 9 yards, I'm like, hey, I might be able to hit 1 or 2 of these things because I do like those. I like that model. I like that shaft, and I actually really like that grip. Charles Bartholomew, somebody's laughing. All right, Steven says, Charles, we teed off Saturday at 6:50 and was scheduled to play at 7 Sunday until rain said no. You go, man. We had some rain. We had a little bit of rain. It was perfect. Somebody upstairs was waiting on us because it rained all the way up until the day we left. Didn't rain a drop. Didn't rain until we got back. We made the apple butter, got inside, started raining. So somebody was watching out for us. I think that was excellent. There's Peter. He's in Myrtle Beach. You get darker down there. Oh, yeah, you did it. Darker in Myrtle Beach now, too. You lucky dog tagging off at 6:50. No doubt, right? That was awesome. Oh, here we go. He shot a 76, a 75, and a 74. More important, I believed. That's normally where it comes. When you're shooting the scores you're shooting, Peter, it now becomes that 6 inches between your ears now. Charles, with the time change, members can tee off at 7 now, but non-members can't go until 7:30. Well, there's a plus for members. Jesse Ross is back in the house. How you doing, buddy? Yeah, Matt, is that 2 weeks in a row now? Then again, it's much darker, so he's not going to be outside. Maybe he's playing indoor soccer or volleyball or basketball. There's Dean. What do you say, sir? Glad to see you can make it. Steven, we had to wait for the frost to clear before we could tee it up, and we were the first ones off. So was the ground hard, Charlie? Was the ground hard as far when you get these frost delays? Has it gotten to the point where it's doing that, where it's everything is getting so hard it's hard to tee it up, or is that still available right now? Phil K. Happy Monday, Robin and Jim and all. No scary golf stories, I'm glad to say. Yeah, how'd that thumb thing turn out? Oh, Robin's asking right now. Hello, everyone, from John Cherry, and he's from Myrtle Beach, too. Did you recover from all that working that you did? Oh, Peter says, I shot 77, 75, 74. I relieved my golfing group of $300. The money was weighting them down. Oh, nicely done. When you got home, how much did mommy get out of that? Because I know she got a little bit. Robin saying hello to John. Lioness. Charles Bartholomew. Yep, you should play the back nine twice to lower your score. No shit. That's a good one right there. Here we go. Pinion said, oh, he spoke to Superstroke last week, and their rep told me that they are discounting all the legacy Lamkin grip and relaunching new versions under the Superstroke brand. Hey, so that's awesome. So any of those guys who we were talking about that Charlie was out there, any of you guys that were talking about that lightweight Lamkin grip, that might be a time to get some at a really heck of a good deal. And I can't see them radically changing the recipe for the grip if they're just going to rebrand it. That's pretty good. One of my favorites out there of Superstroke is the REL. The REL is almost a two-layered grip, almost. And the thing I like it about most is that when it gets wet, it gets stickier. I've always liked that about that grip. And that way, if you play a lot in the rain or particularly if you play in the Ireland, Scotland, UK area, these grips would be excellent because you could literally play with or without a glove, and it won't override a downpour per se, but it does get tackier, not slicker. Slicker, less tacky than others. It really does. And they also have a corded grip that's pretty good. I'm not a fan. The Sonar was okay. I'm not a fan. But they do have a couple of putter grips too that you might look at, just regular old rubber putter grips. So if that's out there, that might be a way to get it. Nice rounds, and then your wife relieved you of your winnings. We're thinking the same way, Charlie. Same exact way, bud. Yeah, this stuff, this Winslow whiskey stuff, Charlie, it's just worth it. I'm getting a whole package of 2 ounces together, bud. Hi, John. Yep. I was just doing my civic duty. Very good, sir. Very good indeed. FL, it's a 9-hole muni, so I go around twice. So you just need to walk the first 9 and then start golfing on the back 9 and then just keep going again. That's pretty good. Steve says, no scary stories here, except for the drive on 10 where I pulled it left into a house where it drilled the roof and ricocheted back into the fairway. Fairway hit, check, parred the par 5. Now, that's kind of one of the reasons why I don't like those types of golf courses, although you can't help it. Normally when we go on these golfing trips, we end up going to one of them will take us to Lexington, and within one of those or several of those golf courses, they are house lined. Now, in a lot of cases, they were smart and they are able to, you got your fairway, and then they got a pretty good sized backyard, so that you really shouldn't be in play even if you let one go. But in this one, they were a little close, and one of our friends was having a little trouble off the tee, and he hits the thing like a cannon, and he shanked one off, and I thought, oh, here we go. I'm thinking, here's fights. Why is there a golf ball in my back in my living room? Yada, yada, yada. And he hits one and ricochets it off the framing of the window, and it rings out like a bell. And I'm like, dude, I don't know what that did or where it came from, but you are one lucky guy. And as we were driving up, all the rest of us are avoiding the house, right? And he's got enough ass where he's going to go up there and try and find his ball. Well, there sits the guy on the back porch drinking the coffee. We didn't even see him, and he stands up and he says, "Having a little trouble off the tee, were you?" and they just had a good old conversation. The guy apologized and said, "Hey, I'm sorry." He says, that's why we're living right here. And he understood, but a lot of folks living on the golf course, they just don't see it that way. And so we were lucky in that one. Robin, thumbs up improving. Oh, thumbs improving. I thought it said thumbs up. I was going to go, yeah, haha. Thumbs improving, but still some pain in a splint for 2 more weeks, and he starts PT. Hope for December golf is fading. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. I broke my thumb right here, Phil, and right on top of the growth plate when I was a younger man, and they said that if I had broken it any further, they would have had to have really broke it all the way. It was a crack that went all the way up this, and they would have had to have broke it all the way off in order to reset it. However, they didn't, and I ended up in a cast that had my thumb up, and it was a half cast that went all the way down my arm and then rolled it up. So it was, hey, it's not going anywhere. So I live day to day with this one. And Rob was saying the golf ball it left dimples on her leg, and it did. It left dimples on her. I felt bad for a little while. Thanks for asking. You're more than welcome. It's probably talking to Robin. Robin, yes, I still haven't figured out how to rectify the name here. It's John Lamb. I don't know what that one says. Oh, we'll get rid of this again. There we go. We found a ball while we were playing the other day, and it says, this was property of so-and-so. Hopefully you'll hit it better than I did. There's Frederick. Hey, Stacy. What's he say, guy? I do like that logo you got going on there. I remembered the John part. Well, very good. Hi, Frederico. Didn't know I caused a problem. You don't cause a problem, Mark. It's not a big thing. It's a lot of people just don't understand the idea. Swing weight is a feel thing. It's not again, I want to reiterate this. It is not a problem. However, there are plus and minuses to trying to get original swing weights. Now, you would be well within your thought process if you went, well, I just need a different flex shaft and I need this, and no problem, no brainer, right? We can do that. But you're changing when you go from a steel shaft to a graphite shaft, and you go from a standard steel and you go to a very lightweight shaft. That is a big change. That's a big change in the dynamics of the golf club. It's a big change in the feel of the golf club. Now, I got to tell you, I like that feel. I am a lefty. Hopefully you know that. I am a lefty, and I picked it up, and I thought it felt great. All right. I play lighter weight clubs as well. I got 90. I got 90-gram shafts over here in my steel, and I play a slightly heavier grip because of the corded that's in there, and mine come out just like yours, and they are great. And the funny part is, typically what happens is if I go up in weight, my accuracy tends to start going like this, but my distance also tends to slide. Now that I've got these, I've got that combination of both, and it's great, right? So I really think you're going to like them, and I do really like the Dart, and I do really like that grip that you sent us. That grip that you have very well may be a one of a kind or a one off that has both companies on it. That's the other thing. In the way of golf history, I try to collect the little things of golf history. That might be something to keep going down the road to say, hey, this is when Superstroke bought Lampkin, and you can tell, just like doing different things and when you do collector's items. There we go. Yeah, no doubt. I don't even know why it did that. It must have thought that I was doing something like that, which this is one of those motion activated things where you give it a sign, and normally it's doing that. And I have to be very fast about it. Otherwise, when I move, it'll follow me. And that just drives me crazy. Frederick, okay, scary stories at my folks in Florida. They have concrete hole markers for the hole number. Watched a fellow hit his tee shot straight into one, and it ricocheted and got him in a very sensitive place. No, I get you what you're saying there. And along those stories, when I was in the Navy and we weren't really playing a lot of golf, but we enjoyed it. We were out there with our XO, and he was a golfer, and he took this mighty cut because we were just blowing it by him. And again, we were much younger, and he took this mighty cut and just peeled it off to the right and hit a tree, and it came back and it clapped him right in the eye and gave him the shiner, and and his last name was Bartholomew, and and we called him Black Bart for short. And after he got the black eye, of course, you can imagine all the names we started giving him after that. I was shipped tomorrow. How was your fishing trip? Yes, how was the fishing trip? That sounds like way more fun. Yeah. Hey, Jim, what are your favorite mats again? Fiberbuilt, bar none, Fiberbuilt. They do a phenomenal job. It comes as close to launch angles and spin rates as you can possibly get off of plastic turf. Okay. There's another one. It's called True Feel, and they're the ones that you can poke the tee into, but there's just only so much life for that. And I'm not necessarily, if I don't know if I'm a fan of that one or not, because I do believe it can give some false positives. However, this one has 1 inch thick, and you can get different ones. You can simulate sand. I didn't buy into that for a second. But as far as just pure on hitting off of a surface, being able to take a fat shot and all that is right there. And then there's stance mats that go with them. You can go as low or as high as you want to go with that. What I have in my fitting room is what they call the Country Club model, but the regular stuff that I used in the range lasted forever. All right. And it was literally the same material for the hitting surface, just a different color. And the stuff from the Country Club was a little bit more softer, and it literally felt like stepping onto turf. So a little bit more realistic. Are you still live? Just got off work. Well, yes, I am. As you hopefully you can tell. That's my sister. She just had a birthday here not too long ago. 3 days ago. So happy birthday, sis. And that's her oldest daughter that's in that thing. Here we go. Peter's got a scary story. I was standing behind someone. He hit his driver straight into a tree to the right of the tee box. The ball came straight back, and if I didn't duck, I would have woke up 3 days later. You know, I see a lot of that, right? You see a lot of that. And just absolutely amazing. I did see one today. It was a meme, and it was a meme of a guy waiting for the green to clear from a pretty good sized distance. You know, we've made fun of those guys waiting, you know, at 200 plus yards and waiting for the guy to clear the green, and he's got an iron in his hand and can't hit an iron more than 140 yards. And this guy's waiting his turn. He's being very patient, and it takes a couple practice swings and commences to take this mighty swing with the iron and clips it clips it right here. Boom. And that thing goes shooting off 90 degrees. And he's on an ocean course, so it went and got wet. Here, Fred, I always thought he might be singing in the Vienna Chorus Choir after that. Was very scary and was wondering about the same medical, but he continued on and walked from there, though. You got to shake it off, man. Just shake it off. Here we go, James Geiger. We got some extra words here on the side now. The DRX2XD. This is new here. All right, Jim. I will be shortening my driver shaft 1 inch from 45.5 to 44.5. I would imagine shortening the shaft would make it play stiffer, even after adjusting the swing weight. Will it matter? Okay. So number one, congratulations. Going to 44.5 is probably one of the best lengths for driving distance and accuracy there ever was. However, will it make it more stiff? The answer is no. So where that comes from is when you shorten a club, right? When you shorten a club and you go to measure frequency, the shorter club does come out with more CPMs. Okay. So think of it this way, where it's out, a club is out this far and it twangs and it goes like this, and you shorten it up and it starts going like this. That's a function of the length. That's it. That's a function of the length, and that's all. So length of the shaft and the frequency is a function, but you need one more parameter, and that's the flex. So if you have length this way and CPMs this way, and then you have the flex going up in there, if you were to go and you come back an inch, you go out and you'd be shorter an inch or whatever, and you go up, you would need a higher frequency number for the same flex. So the chances of changing the flex are very, 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 very small. Now I say that, and there, like I said, the best answer in golf is it depends, and it depends on the profile of your shaft. If you have something that is very butt weak, yeah, you might be able to stiffen it up a little bit, but that's about it. If it's a very butt stiff shaft, no, you're not going to see a thing. So that's about it. So you got that part taken care of. So now if you're going to take off an inch, that means you need about 6 swing weight points. So 6 swing weight points, which means you're going to try and add 12 grams. And this is just what I was talking about with Mark's clubs. Before you start doing and playing the, let's try and make the swing weight, go ahead and hit it. I say go hit it. Cut it down, put a grip on it, go hit it. If you don't like it, go get you another grip and then start adding swing weight to however you want it to feel. I would bet real money you don't add enough to get you to the original swing weight before you start feeling it correctly, okay? And in order to do that. Now, how you're going to do that's a whole different thing. If you've got a bonded driver, easy peasy. You take it apart, you put a little tip weight in there, and you're on. If you're in an adjustable driver, that's a problem. If you have, for instance, a Srixon, I'm kind of starting to dig this Srixon thing. When I add a little bit of weight, these clubs come alive. I mean, a lot, okay? And you could add them just by getting some weights or getting some custom weights and adding it to there. That's a bonus, okay? Yeah, I would definitely be in for some of that, but I would be very wary of trying to add all that weight. I maybe kind of split it, right? Add maybe 4 to 6 grams add maybe 3 to 4 grams and just see what happens. I promise you it will feel much better. And again, I do that on mine. Oh, other side. This one over. Nope, it's this side. It's this way. And here goes that thing wanting to follow me again. Is it going to follow me? Aha, we got it locked down. I do that now, and again, this is the reason why those mini drivers are so popular, because they get very, very close, and the cosmetics, because it's a smaller head, the cosmetics look really, really good, and people are able to swing them with a lot of confidence. And those run about 44 inches. Okay, definitely a different animal altogether. I'm a member of your new channel. Did I see your replay today? No, I actually put one out today, Charlie, or Peter. That was where we went down into Kentucky this last weekend. And just prior to going to the Buffalo Trace event, it's called Night at the Distillery, we were able to visit 3 other distilleries, bam, bam, bam. And we were able to do a lot of stuff. We did a blending at Jay Mattingly. We did a whiskey thieving, and then went to Castle and Key and did a tasting. The night before, we took off a little early, and we took ourselves into Cincinnati, and we stayed over there, and that's where we did this guy, the Wenzel. Definitely well worth the effort. And yeah, there you go. And it's starting to grow. The channel's actually starting to grow a little bit. It's starting to pick up a little bit of steam. All right, Charlie's got a scary story. It got ahead of one of the guys I was playing with. He hit a ball. He hit the ball. I caught it right side of my thigh, just below the family jewels. Never got out in front of him after that. Yeah, that'll change your attitude on life, won't it? James, Sunday was my last round of the year here in upstate New York. Teed off at 38 degrees. After 1 hour frost delay, shot a 76, respectable round. Damn right, James. Well done. Man, well done. So how far upstate? I know we've talked about this before. Uh, when I was in the Navy, we were in upstate. We were in the Saratoga area. It was a beautiful area. It really, really was. But that was generations ago before things got loony. But that was really neat. That's where I did one of my first snow ski activities. It was really fun. Peter says, "Don't worry, Robin. Anna made sure to gap. See, Anna, Peter went 300 light, and Anna went 300 heavy. And as teeny weeny as Anna is, she probably need that in her pockets to wear down in a stiff wind anyway. So that's very cool." Charlie's telling everybody thumbs up, please. There you go. All right, there's the sis. One of the kids at school asked what he could make that has a 9-degree angle. I said, there's got to be a golf club head that is 9 degrees. Make one of those. They are given a block of aluminum to machine. And the answer is correct, my sister, is that on these right here, the drivers, and depending on how big his block of aluminum is, the lie angle, right, or the loft angle is normally 9 degrees depending on how this soles right here. So he could go and take a picture of any golf club he wanted, and he could mill out that amount. If that's all he's looking for, now it's going to be massively heavy because the inside is going to be solid, but it's a good start. And if he got to the point where he could, drill a hole in the hosel, he could put some designs on the bottom, all kinds of stuff. Have him look, depending on the size of the block, have him look at some of the original TaylorMade steel drivers. All right, steel drivers. They were literally as big around as golf balls. They weren't very big. They're about where this is this big, right? You see, let's see. Here we go. This is 460 cc's. The the original driver was a fraction of this. It probably wouldn't be this big. Okay. It was it was in the 200 cc plus range. And the face width was barely big enough to hit the golf ball, and the golf ball diameter is 1.68 inches. So this thing was probably 2 inches long in the face. So, but you can do a historical thing, and if he's really trying to mill stuff, he could mill bumps on the top of it, just like the original TaylorMade. That'd be one heck of a test for him. All righty, I saw Chris. Here's Krister. Bought a new shaft. I saw it. Denali Blue, tipped an inch, plays 45.75 with the ultralight extra small grip, which means that it's playing a little heavier than standard. That's pretty cool. I like that Denali Blue. It's a good shaft. I really do like that one. Ouch, Charlie. Yeah. There we go. Here we go. Counterbalance shafts. Got them in my new Ping 430. Driver 3 wood. Had a really hard time getting the feel for them. My release was all over the place. Anyone else play them? Gone back to regular. No. I like a lighter club. So counterbalance shafts work better for me. I like the feeling somewhere between my hand and the club head itself. Guys, so here's the idea. The idea of a counterbalance shaft is, number one, is so that you can make a longer club and still have a proper swing weight. Okay. but we're only talking a little bit. Now, again, in a golf shaft, when we're talking about counterbalance, it's not like somebody just added a whole bunch of extra weight at the back end. What they did is they moved the balance point back towards the butt end about 1.5 inches to give it that little extra feel, because that little bit is a big, big deal. Okay. The other one is that it makes the club feel lighter. So those of us who like a lighter club, we can swing that a little bit easier and get through it. So there's different actions for it. The and I would check with ping, and if they use counterbalance, I would really check the length of that golf club, make sure they didn't over length it on you. All righty. Robin says, Liz, we start at 5:30 and whenever I stop. Yep, that's true. Mr. Geiger, Jim, how about the recoil ES440 F2 driver shaft? I hit my buddies in a Callaway II Smoke, and I hit it great. I was surprised how well I hit that senior shaft. Oh, okay. So I've never really been a fan of recoil in the driver. We'll just go with that. Okay. I didn't think it performed because it's had such a high bar to compete with in the irons. I don't believe that it met that bar. At least that's in my opinion. Now, I will say what you just said is true. The club itself, in both the iron and the driver, the club is very stable, and that's the whole idea, right? The whole idea is ovaling for them, so they make this thing stout like this. So the whole idea of getting a little bit of when people feel, oh, I felt the kick of the shaft, right? So what that means is that that shaft went from this and it ovaled. So it went from a circle to an oval and then it ovaled back. And that's that feel that you're feeling. All right. And that gives a little bit of energy. So what they try to do is try to minimize that ovaling so that energy transfers down the shaft and into the golf ball. And they had massive success with that. And that's the reason why that thing feels stable. Chances are that that senior shaft is probably playing in the same frequency as your regular. However, it might be a little bit lighter, and you very well may like it. Let's see if this thing's following me. Nope, look at that, two times now. Uh, and again, that's me, right? That is me. If you hit it and you've got a Callaway so that you have a same, there's nothing wrong with that a bit, right? I've had guys that were the best golfers on the planet playing some of the cheapest shafts because that profile worked, and vice versa. Some of the guys that were just beginning, that some of the more expensive shafts work for them because that profile worked for them. So it's very, very individual. In fact, here's another story. uh, Today, Robin took a phone call and asked if I knew anything about a shaft, and she said had the word gel in it. I don't know if it could have been a name of the shaft or whatever. And he was convinced that it was going to take golf to the next level. And if I knew anything about it, well, the answer is no. I've never heard of any golf shaft with the word gel in it and taking it to the next level. So I said, well, Google it, right? Google knows everything. I said, ask if there's a shaft with the word gel in it that's going to take golf to the next level. And Google said, and I quote, there is no piece of equipment that will take your game to the next level. Go get fit. Really? Go get fit? That's awesome. Even Google knows it now. They must be listening to me. You must be joking. He never stops. That's a fact. So Charlie's got the G400 in with a CB. Hit it pretty well. Have you tried putting a little heavier weight in the head? Yeah, that's always a possibility too. I'm not a big ping guy, so I don't know if they have replaceable weights, but if they do, that would be an excellent option and cheaper, by the way. Blarney Stone magic. That's a fact. There's a few of us that have actually kissed the Blarney Stone, and I am one of them. And I have been known to spin a yarn or two. Wow. Okay. Here we go. Marvino of Mars. I believe he's been here before. 62 degrees here in Northern Ireland. Dark at 5 p.m. Been damp, though soft greens. 16 degrees Fahrenheit. That's not too bad, though. That's not bad. It's particularly in Northern Ireland. That's awesome. The wife and I have been talking about a trip to the northern part of Ireland. We did the southern part. We were really interested in the northern part, as our roots are somewhere between the northern part and Scotland. And we want to take this time where we can take a week maybe and go see everything that Northern Ireland has to offer, and then go across the channel or the water there and go and find our way into Scotland and finish our route there. And that would be awesome. Heat of the counterbalance seems to be a lot thicker graphite in the butt end. It typically is. You're not wrong. Really couldn't find the timing with them. But the blue Tensei AV, and that's another great shaft. The Tensei blue, good shaft. And now the ball takes off with my good flight. Well, good. So that's the and again, that's the perfect example of certain profiles work for certain people, and that's the reason why you do the custom fitting, to find out that very stuff. That's a good and perfect. And now there's several different blue Tenseis out there too. So if they keep progressing, you might find an even better one in the day. Jesse wants to know, what do you use apple butter for? For food, man. There's plenty that we use it for. I've used it for, well, I put it on toast. Some people put it on pancakes. Some people will put it in their barbecue. Those are the big three that I'm very much aware of. Some people have put it in their oatmeal, but those are the ones I use it for. I'm saying, hi, Dean. We pit spoke butter and biscuits and toast. Man, okay. No, the grounds aren't hard yet. I've really had we haven't had a hard frost to firm up the ground, but it's coming. Oh, okay, good. Well, at least you can get out there and still play. Maybe I got a round or two left in me up here. I have an ice pick on standby for when the ground. You guys with this polar bear golf, man, that's just impressive as all get out. It's fun to hear you guys talk about it. No, I didn't. We had them up in Edmonton, and my bro-in-laws over in Canada Turkey Day, so no access to my shop. We decided to go back to my shaft while driving home. Oh, okay. Hoops, Jesse, we put apple butter and toast and biscuits. Yeah, biscuits is another one too. It's really good with biscuits and gravy. Ice pick will need the hammer drill up here by the end of the season. Oh yeah, I guarantee it. I do like the AV blue. Have them in the fairways. It's one of those. It's going to go down in history as one of those shafts that fits just a lot of people. Much like the Ventus blue, that fits a truckload of people. And they got blacks and they got reds and they got yellows, all that stuff. But that blue is one that's been a very, very, very well designed shaft. And that's just one of those that go down in history as one that's done that, right? If you guys remember the graphite design, that was that maroon shaft with the gold or yellow lettering in it. That was one that was just like that. Marvin of Mars. Pardon me. He's got some CF16 irons pulled, Project F sticks, and fitted 75 shafts, and find the very stiff. Would recoil 680 stiff change this feel? I do have recoil 680s on the 790s. They feel nice to get the feedbacks. Okay, so if the M75Is, I'm going to go with Mitsubishi if you're talking about those. So you pulled the Project X stiff. Project X Stiff is a fairly stout shaft, right? It's a stout profile, a little bit bigger in the butt, and that's smooth all the way down. I like the design, but you better be a swinger, and they typically are heavy, right? So you go to 75 M75Is. I'm going to assume that we're talking about Mitsubishi type shafts in the 75 and find the very stiff. That's kind of funny because 75 is kind of that, again, a 75-80 is kind of a sweet spot for graphite between that regular stiff. I find that it would feel stiffer than the Project X stiff. That's kind of funny. However, 680 recoil stiff will change the feel. Absolutely correct. Yeah, the 680s and the 790s. Yeah, the 680s is one of the best. The 680 regular recoils, one of my favorites. 680 does not mean 68 grams, but I do like them. And that was one that really doesn't like ovaling a lot. Very, very well done. And I do like it. So the answer to your question is yes. I'm going to have to dig out my box, brother, and I'll get you some. Don't worry. This next one is from, this one has got a great story. It's called McBrayer. And the reason why it's got a great story is the guy graduated from the high school that's just a mile down the road from us. And he's fallen into the same kind of trap I've done with other businesses. And he has several that are several different bottles. And just coming along. I've been letting it breathe because I just popped the cork on it before coming down here. Okay. That has potential. I'm saying hello to Marvin. We're back in the UK. Any word on the new Wilsons? No. It turns out my rep retired 2 days ago, and we're going to get a new guy. And I thought they were going to bring him down before he retired. That didn't happen. So that's a problem. So I don't know if he's coming down, what he's going to do, but I'm very, very anxious to see that. We did have a call from Callaway. The rep has not figured out how to get down here, but the guy inside gave us a call and gave us an update. For those of you that are in on all the latest releases, Callaway just released what they would call their exclusive or their upper tier putters. Okay, they're upper tier putters. And they're bringing back the Tri-Hot name. And the Tri-Hot is going to be red and black. And they're going to have 4 different models. One's going to be a Rosy. Another one's going to be a Model 7. And the other 2 are going to be jailbirds of different varieties. And they're all going to have the square-to-square technology in them, i.e. the lab putter stuff. But what they've done is they've moved the insertion of the shaft into the head more towards the face, so it doesn't give it that super closed look like it did on the first round. So what does that mean? Well, Tri-Hot is a multi-piece putter. If history serves, Tri-Hot meant it was 3 pieces: a face, body, and all the rest of the stuff for adding weight. It was a really neat idea. It was a very neat feeling golf club, and it's going to have the flex face in it, where they had these little fingers. That what they did is they had the white hot surface, and then they had this extruded metal, and they are like a gazillion different little fingers that you would hit it, and it would spring load and get the ball rolling as quickly as you could. So it's going to feel good. It's going to look really, really good, and it's going to cost you a lot more. So be prepared. They're going to come back with some more of the same kind of putters that they had this year. Plus, they're going to have another. What they had was it was the same model as had the flex face in it, but no Stroke Lab shaft, and it was a little bit more head heavy. but very price conscientious setting. So they're going to go across the board. They're also going to come out with a new iron and driver that is to replace the Elite. I think, I personally, I don't know why. I thought they hit well, but they're going to go back. They made the Elite Iron looked very, very players oriented. It was a smaller head for their flagship model, but their one that helped you get the club closed was very friendly looking indeed, I thought. And what they said is they're going to go back to the longer, more traditional Callaway look in order to make it more friendly for a lot of people to hit. They told me that what the name was. I think they said Quantum, and they're going to trim down some models, but they're still going to have a lot. When you have the Apexes, the Apex Milds, and the TCBs, and then you're going to have these, there's still going to be a lot to choose from. The driver is going to be in the same fashion, but I don't know all the specifics just yet. Yep, Liz, scary golf stories. Jim fell Robin like a tree and hit her in the thigh. Yeah, we talked about that one. Nothing yet, Charlie. We have to meet our new rep. Our guy Dave retired. Yes. Okay, so Mr. Geiger says, so glad you bought those Lamkin REL micro grips last week. Really enjoying the rubber feel and need the light weight for the heavier swing weight. Thanks again for opinion. Yeah. Honestly, James, I'd probably go back out there and I'd go buy some more because it sounds like you might be able to get them at a bargain. Thanks for the update, Robin. A lot of courses up here have nets put up to protect the houses that are in the range of wayward shots. Saw it a lot in Florida as well. Yeah, so we saw a lot of those as well in Florida and a lot of those resort areas where they were allowed to put those up. In a lot of cases, their back patios and the areas of their pools were covered in what they called a mosquito cage, and that was just basically to help not catch a golf ball while you're swimming. And I've seen the nets in some of these cases, and I still haven't figured out why they would disallow it. But the homeowners associations just won't allow you to do that. There is Lawrence. What do you say, buddy? I haven't had the opportunity to hit them, Mark. They have become my my makeup for the other set that I did, and I did literally the same thing for them as I did for yours. So I was able to reuse it because, as I said last week and in these videos, my external hard drive gave up the ghost, and it had 2 years worth of videos and pictures and visits and all kinds of stuff. And that had one of them in there. We did an installation, so I had to start over. And as I was working over yours, I was like, well, hey, look at here. It's the same stuff. And so now the next couple of videos will have your irons in them. So we also cleaned. I tried looking at the sand wedge for you, bud, and the grooves in the sole are actually in the metal. In order for me to go get them, I would have to remove the finish, and I didn't think you wanted me to do that. However, what I did on all of them is I ran them into my glands wedge wheel because there was like this watermarks and stuff all over them, and they look kind of dull. So I cleaned up all the soles. I cleaned up the sides so that they look a lot more shiny and more new. So they ought to look pretty good on their way back. Plenty of salmon and steelhead caught, threw everything back for someone else to catch. You good man. Scott Gordon, here's a new one. Built some Maltby golf clubs, came with Super Stroke grips on top, still says Lamkin 100, and Super Stroke on the front. Well, look at that. Maybe it's a thing that they got to do for a while until they just totally rebrand. Apple butter on pancakes or waffles my mom fixed while it was growing. It's up delicious. Yes, I agree, sir. In fact, I got 3 jars. Took 3 jars away from that 180 for us. Plus, I've got one from the Apple Barn in Tennessee, and then we got another one from a It was a hotel we were staying at in Indiana where they made a lot of apple butter, and we got a jar there. So I got plenty of apple butter. Yes, thank you. There's saying hello. Amsterdam, New York, Jim. 20 miles from Saratoga. Beautiful area. A little cold for golf now, though. Yep, that's a nice little area. I really liked it up there, but you're right, change of season. And it was kind of a pain in the butt for me because all I had was a motorcycle during my Navy era. My first time on snow skis when I was in sub school, we went to Killington, Vermont. One of my classmates was an avid skier, and that was on his list. Very cool. Mr. Three Putt, I still dig on that logo, dude. Hello from Texas. So proud of my daughter. Okay. She shot a 74. Wow. 74 and took third. You got to wonder, if she shot 73rd and took third, what kind of golf school is she playing at? Has 3 colleges calling to congratulate her. Now I have to figure out which one is her best fit. Wow. Wow. That's pretty damn amazing. I will say that. That's pretty damn amazing. I got to think about this. So, as general, what we try to tell high school students here is we give them a reality check, because very rarely do we get somebody who can shoot like that. But if a college is offering a scholarship to be able to go play golf, number one, we tell them that the life of a student athlete is not all it's cracked up to be. You have a lot of work that you have to do, and you have a grade point average that you have to maintain. So number one is, and I wake them up to reality. I said, "What's your GPA?" They said 3.8. And I'm like, "Okay, don't worry about it." They said, "Why?" I said, "Because if you're at a 3.0 or below, most golf coaches probably won't even look at you, because they want to make sure when they go to give up because golf scholarships are far and few between. And if you drop below a GPA and you can't golf, they have just wasted that scholarship. So they are going to hedge their bets on somebody that's going to be able to perform and go to school. And that's not wrong. Okay. If you're thinking that golf is your only way of life, then that's a little different. But number one is you want to come away with a degree so you can do something in case golf doesn't work out. That would be my first one. Number two is I would go look at each one of the colleges to see whether or not they have a program that your daughter would like, whether you were golfing or not. Then I would go look at the golf program to see whether or not you can get a little bit of help, whether there's somebody help with equipment, somebody practice facilities, all that stuff, and how can you study in order to keep that and still keep your golf skills up and keep your grade point averages up. But look at it all. If they're willing to call you, be willing to investigate them. There you go. There, see, me and Charlie, simpatico stuff going on right here. Mr. Three Putt, I went through the same deal with my son. The best advice, I got to pick a school with lets her play, and in the top and on the top 5, not the second or backup squad. There you go. Krister says the total weight driver is 306 grams and it has a D weight because of the lighter grip. Wahoo! Not bad. There's Robin. Hi, Mr. Three Putt. Cheaper shafts. I played a USTA for years. It was just magic. Guys in Florida used to ask me if, because I was from Calgary, that I had to play shafts with flame colors. Oh, you know what? In the UST realm, the purple and gold shaft was all the rage, and it was the absolute worst profile, but everybody had it because it was popular. They came out with one much later that was gold and red, and that was such a better profile, but the pros wouldn't play it because they said it had a softer tip, and they just couldn't do it. but it played so much better for so many people, but they just couldn't see it on TV, so it just went by the wayside. It was a tragedy, to be honest with you. So if you ever see one out there, an old ATR shaft, and if it's new, probably want it. Apple butter, crab apple butter. Used to take up my weekends when I was a lad. Mom put down some preserves. Damn right. I felt the Ventus Blue was way too soft than Denali Blue. Now, you would be correct. That's Chris, that's two different profiles altogether. The Denali Black is actually closer to the Ventus Blue. The Denali Blue is the more beefier profile. It's a little bit backwards, but yeah, you're 100% on. Next week, I'm off to play the Air Force Fighting Tiger Golf Championship. Now, wait a minute. I am in the retired gross division, Puerto Rico. Air Force Fighting Tiger, do you have to like wear a skirt when you go play? You got to watch some Air Force folks, though, man, because, you know, when you go to a military base and they design their base around the golf course, you got to be wary of those folks. Yes, that would be cool. No way. If I win money there, she will spend it at the local markets. Yeah, but bringing it back, it got to be a pain in the butt. You will bring it back her a share. There you go. I have an Odyssey A1 milled 1T in the bag. The feel off the putter is phenomenal. Yeah, it's a good mill. I like it. I like that particular feel. I think it's a great putter. They're just going to a different model. There you go. The apple butter has a little cinnamon in it, doesn't it? Yes, it does. They put 30 in that big. I mean, the pot was about this big around. They put 30 pounds of sugar in that thing. And I'm not so, they wouldn't show me how much cinnamon they put into it, but it came back in one of those Pyrex measuring cups. And it was nothing but a big old cinnamon bomb. Uh-oh, here we go. Sugarwood first tee hit a top screamer that hit the railroad tracks, came straight back, almost killed us all standing on the roof. Oh, no. You got to hate those. I would agree, Charlie. I would agree. That is the ATR shaft. Yeah, I'm telling you, dude, that ATR shaft was something else. Totally underrated. And I got to see one of the very first ones before they put even the logos on them. They were testing them out on the PGA Tour, and these guys were coming back going, oh, it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I love this thing. And they found out what it was called, the ATR. What's that mean? Advanced tip response. They should have said right then and there that it was advanced tip for better players. And they just stopped, and they would have put it in there. But they asked what it was, and they said, well, it's a little softer than Pro Force. Immediately said no. I was like, and those things, and the funny part was the reds made great driver shafts, and the purples made really good fairway shafts. It was stupid how that worked. All righty. So we got to the end, guys and gals. We got to the end. That's awesome. So again, all over the world yet again, we had Krister, we had the UK represented, we had all over the US represented. Very cool. There will be videos, I promise. There will be videos. I've got 3 of them to talk about, so they will be showing up, so you'll be able to see them. So again, as a reminder, please like and subscribe. Hit that bell across the bottom so you get more of these informations when they drop, right? And that's what we want to, and that's really what we want to see. Again, don't forget to, if you're into that thing, Viz and Pars and Pours, watch out for the video. It'll probably be Wednesday, right? We'll do it on Wednesday. It'll come out in the morning, and we should be good to go. We are in the silly season. As soon as we get pictures of the things, because we've asked for them in advance, we'll be able to show you on these live streams. That's where they're going to come from. And so you guys get more of this information. Guys, thank you so very much. I'm digging on this little community. Tell your friends and family. Let them come join us and have fun with us as well. And as always, let's see your scores go low.